Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Willow Legal Group Coffee Chat. We're working separately today. Thanks for joining us. So, Lindsay, what are we chatting about today?
So today, I thought it would be a good idea for us to talk generally about the differences between Medicare and Medicaid, because I think there's a lot of confusion about each of the programs, and while similar, they are different. So,
Yeah.
So I guess we can just
could have named them differently, right? I find myself tripping up on the name all the time, and I have to pause and think, wait, care, which meta what?
Right. And, it makes a big deal depending on what situation you're in. So I think the first main difference is one program is federally sponsored, and then one program is sponsored by each individual state. So Medicare is a federal program. Medicaid is your state program. And so what do they cover? Or who's eligible? I guess. Where do we start?
Yeah. So let's start with Medicare. I think that's the easier one, right?
Yes.
Medicare is a health insurance program, for lack of a better, that's a good overall term, for anyone over the age of 65, right? And gives you Medicare, covers medical costs for seniors. And then there are a couple different types of plans and supplemental plans when you get there, where Medicaid is income-based and is typically for those with disabilities, those who are low income, and then seniors. But again, you have to qualify both financially and medically to qualify for Medicaid as a senior.
Right. And you mentioned there were different programs under Medicare. I am not an expert, and I think nobody's an expert, but there's parts A, part B, and part C. I honestly don't know the difference, but it all falls under the same umbrella. Am I right? It's that.
Yes.
And I think you have to apply for each part separately, maybe, or something. I don't know. It's very confusing.
And then there's Medicare Advantage plans.
Oh.
Right. That supplement Medicare, or maybe more like your HMO and PPO and those types of plans.
The main thing is based on your age.
Yes. And if there's interest, folks, leave us a note. And I know a couple Medicare specialists that we can invite on, and we could do a webinar or something in which they could explain A, B, C, Advantage, when you have to sign up, when there's a penalty for not signing up, and all of those things.
With all the federal government programs, there's a lot of rules and regulations and potential penalties and things. So anyway.
And I think the thing that surprises people most to find out is that Medicare doesn't cover long-term care.
Right.
So if you have, stroke or break a hip or have something like that, and you need to go into a rehab facility after the hospital, first you need to be admitted to the hospital for three overnights, and admitted and not just under observation. That's really important. And then Medicare will pay for the first 20 days of a rehab facility. And then the next 100 days, it is, you have a copay, and that's where a Medicare Advantage plan comes in to place, because that's a supplemental insurance. So that will supplement that. But folks are often really surprised that they only get the first 20 days or so in rehab, and then they've got to pay out of pocket.
Yeah, and you can also use you could use a supplemental private insurance as well for that copay difference, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's 80% that Medicare pays, and then you pay 20% for something like that. It's some percentage.
So if you want to know details, shoot us a note, and we will get on those.
Yes. So the Medicaid, though. So Medicaid is the one when we talk to clients, or primarily when Megan talks to clients about long-term care planning, we're talking more about Medicaid. So what are the general guidelines for Medicaid?
Yeah. So the first is you need to be medically qualified. So that means you need to qualify for skilled or need skilled nursing home care. And right now, that's practically in a nursing home. There are Medicaid programs that would cover assisted living or in-home care, but unfortunately, in the state of Maryland, the waiting list is 35,000 people. It's a 7 or 8 year waiting list to be able to cover that. It's kind of crazy, right? The state knows it would cost them less to cover assisted living or to cover in-home care compared to a nursing home. But they're dragging their feet on allowing people to apply and inviting people to apply to this program. And so there's this crazy long waiting list. So you have to medically qualify, and then you have to financially qualify, which in Maryland means you can only have about $2,500 in assets. So there are some exclusions, right? Homes and different accounts might be excluded. Where it becomes tricky is married couples and what belongs to the couple who's applying to Medicaid. How do we calculate what they own jointly, what they can keep? So that's where getting a professional and someone to help look at that and look at that calculation and advise you on how to spend down or how to make changes so you can qualify for Medicaid. Don't just start giving people money. Just start gifting, right? Say, oh, kids, here's $10,000. Here's this, because Medicaid does have a look back period. So they will look at what you've done in the last 5 years to see, right, what money have you given away? And those gifts would incur a penalty in which you will privately pay for the nursing home care. So sometimes we use that as a planning strategy, but it's a very carefully coordinated and calculated planning strategy. It's not just, let me get my name out of the house, and let me put your name on it, son, daughter. Let me give you $10,000 because I need to spend down. That's not the best way to go about it.
Yeah. So if you, if you or, your parents or you are in this situation where you might be facing this type of issue, it's best to talk to somebody who specializes in elder law, just to go through all those calculations and all of those different scenarios. So Megan does that for our firm. I learned from her, and so, but yeah, she's happy to chat if anybody has questions about that. So it's very important to plan ahead, like everything else.
Everything else, right? At least know what your options are, and not have to plan in a crisis.
Yeah.
So. What do we have? We have a lunch and learn coming up on May 23rd. So we're taking our wine and wills that we usually do in the evenings and bringing it online, doing it over lunch. So for folks that can't get away in the evenings, but could hop on Zoom during their lunch hour, they can join us. Yep. Wine optional.
Maybe encouraged. I don't know.
It's the Thursday before Memorial Day weekend. So
that's true. Long weekend. And it'll be a general estate planning 101. So bring your questions. We'll go over the basics, but bring your questions. And then if you have, questions more specific to you, we're happy to schedule time to chat after. So hope to see everybody.
All right. Have a great day, great week.
Okay. Bye.